Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Adam on AI. This is the introductory episode for this podcast. So let's get to some introductions. My name is Adam Richardson, and I'm a professor at a community college. I teach, as part of my work, AI-related technologies. I teach data-focused courses, and on the side, I also happen to consult in these same areas. And so it's my pleasure to have you here. Additionally, let's introduce the show. The show, Adam on AI, is just meant to be a general source of information related to artificial intelligence. You don't have to be an expert to be here. You don't have to be someone who's technically sophisticated. The hope is that this show will prove valuable for a broad range of listeners. Now, with those introductions out of the way, let's introduce artificial intelligence. And I want to be clear, you're going to hear many different definitions related to artificial intelligence if you go Google around. However, I want to keep it simple and I want it to be practical. And the idea is there a system that's been built in such a way where it's trying to reflect or replicate some of the intelligence that we see in humans? Now, we could try and dig deeper into that definition, but I think it's easier if we start to talk about what has represented the research related to artificial intelligence through the years. So a few things come to light consistently when you look at various sources. One is searching. Now, initially, if you hear search being listed as something that's considered related to artificial intelligence, you might think, I'm not so sure about that, but let's reflect on that a second. What do you do when you see someone you haven't seen in a while and you're trying to remember their name? You see them off in the distance, the pressure's building, and you're thinking, oh no, I have to get it. What is their name? And you're rummaging through your memories trying to find the name that you can use to tell that person, hey, I remember you. Isn't that a form of search? And as we reflect, think about all of those memories that we have stored that we have to, in the more general sense, find when we need. So much of what we do really comes down to some type of search. And in artificial intelligence research, you'll see things like uninformed search, informed search, adversarial search, etc. You don't have to know those terms, but you do need to know that search is a big deal, and it's right up front in a lot of the work related to the study of artificial intelligence. The next area of research related to artificial intelligence that we'll cover is knowledge-based systems. Knowledge-based systems attempt to take the knowledge that we've gained from the outside world, from our interactions with the world, and then represent this logic within some type of system. We try to capture the rational thought that we have found to be true, the knowledge that we have encountered to be true in our experiences. And so knowledge-based systems, if they're focused on artificial intelligence, if they're focused on reflecting human intelligence in some way, we typically call these types of systems expert-based systems or just expert systems. This specific area of research actually dominated much of the focus in the initial research related to artificial intelligence. People for many years put most of their resources into the idea that if we can just capture enough logic, if we can just put in enough lines of code manually, we can build systems that can generalize well and handle situations that we as humans do all the time. The problem is, it's pretty easy to see how this falls apart very quickly. Think of an image of a bird and think of all the different positions that bird can be in, all the different colors that the pixels can be represented in, various cameras, various hues, various lighting. How do you capture all of those rules required to then process that image, if you're a computer, and figure out which type of bird is in front of you? It turns out it's very difficult for expert systems to generalize in ways that prove helpful for this type of work. So expert systems certainly dominated early research, but much of the emphasis now has moved on to what we call machine learning. Machine learning research completely flipped the paradigm of expert systems. Instead of us trying to learn everything and then impart that knowledge, impart that logic within our systems, let's help our systems learn. So we train the system, it creates a model, and that model that's been generated, that model is what's used for various types of tasks. And so machine learning covers a broad range of topics. And in all of these, what we see is this paradigm of, instead of us trying to impart knowledge, we create systems that can learn. And there are various approaches. The hottest approach, when you think of all the news headlines related to artificial intelligence, most of those relate to, in some way, shape, or form, neural networks. And this is one specific area of machine learning research. Neural networks have powered our biggest innovations over the past 5 years or more. And these networks, I want to be careful. Don't think of these as being some type of reflection of the complexity of what's happening in our brain at any given microsecond. These do not begin to capture all of the mechanisms that are happening. So let's not think that way. Let's not think that these networks in some way describe our brain. But let's entertain the notion that our brain provides a great way to conceptualize, to better understand the makeup of these neural networks. Most of us have probably seen pictures in our biology classes of neurons. Our brain is composed of many, many neurons, and they're all interconnected. A neuron fires, and its firing impacts neurons downstream from that neuron through other synapses. And this chain reaction keeps happening as we take in more and more information. And in this way, I think thinking of neural networks in light of what's happening in our brain, that is helpful. In this way, it helps us get a picture of what these neural networks are doing in these advanced AI systems powered by machine learning. Finally, let's consider the situation in which we use an enormous neural network, so large that we call it deep learning because it has so many layers of neurons making up the network. And what if we train it to perform autocomplete on written words? Well, that's essentially what's happening with tools like ChatGPT. If we train on all of the internet, the entire corpus of words that are out there on the internet, and this network is trained to perform essentially an advanced autocomplete, we now have a tool that can generate text, and it can do so seemingly quite intelligently. That's all for this episode. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.